You voted.
I did.
You protested.
Again.
You postcarded.
So many Sundays.
You posted on social media.
Got some likes.
And you're still reeling from all the terrible news.
Yeah, but what else can I do?
I'm Kelly.
I'm Lila.
And we're going to help you figure that out.
Each week, we'll interview people on the front lines of political action about the things they actually did to take action.
What got them started, who helped them along the way, and what they do differently if they had it to do all over again.
And in the process, we'll give you concrete advice about how to take the leap from freaking out on Twitter to making a difference.
Follow What Can I Do wherever you listen to podcasts, or tune in on whatcanidopodcast.com.
Hi, I'm Liz Winstead.
I'm Moji Alawode Al.
And we're the hosts of Feminist Buzzkills, the only weekly podcast that helps you navigate the post-Roe hellscape.
We dissect all the news from that sketchy intersection of abortion and misogyny with our guests, the abortion providers and activists working on the ground. Plus, we have amazing comedians to help us laugh through the rage.
Feminist Buzzkills drops Fridays wherever you get your pod fix. Listen and subscribe, because when BS is poppin', we pop off.
MSW Media.
News with swearing. Daily beans, daily beans. Daily beans, daily beans.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Beans for Friday, August 25th, 2023. Today, former President Donald Trump is expected to self-surrender at the Rice Street Jail in Fulton County pursuant to racketeering charges. DA Fani Willis accepts Kenneth Chesebro's motion for a speedy trial, and the court grants it, in part. Trump supporters think a pro-Trump rally planned outside the Atlanta jail is an FBI deep state setup. Donald makes a change to his Georgia legal team ahead of his booking. The Trump-era DEA is being investigated for hiring agents who failed lie detector tests. And there was a GOP primary debate hardly worth mentioning. I'm your host, Allison Gill. Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. I'm solo again today because I had some more travel things going on, unplanned happenings. So I do apologize. Dana will be back with us on Monday. I promise, but it's just me today. Also, we are just a couple of hours away, as I record this, from the former president self-surrendering at Rice Street. We're all basically just kind of waiting for this mugshot, right? And the height and weight. And you can watch at Mueller, She Wrote on Twitter and Threads for that information as soon as it's available. And of course, Pete and I will discuss on the bonus episode of Clean Up on Aisle 45 for patrons this weekend, along with, we'll talk about it on the main episode that comes out next Wednesday. But this is kind of what we're all sort of sitting around waiting for. He has made some thinly veiled calls for his supporters to come out while he is there. And we're going to go over this in a little bit, but some of them don't believe that it's real, which is interesting. It kind of reminds me of when, back during lockdown, when Donald Trump was like, mail-in voting is terrible. You shouldn't mail-in vote. You shouldn't send your vote in the mail. And Republicans are like, don't say that, man. You can't. Please don't say that. Don't disparage mail-in voting. We get a lot of votes from mail-in voting, but then his followers were like, nope, not going to vote, not going to show up, not going to mail it in. It's all a trick. It's all rigged. It works against him a lot. And so his, years of calling, agents part of the deep state that were behind January 6th, et cetera, it leads to stuff like this. When he calls out for, big mobs of people to come to support him, they think it's, a trick. It's a very self-defeating thing. And we'll see what ends up happening tonight. And of course, we'll report on it this weekend. But I think it's going to be much like the three previous times. I don't think that there's going to be more than, 20, 30, maybe 40 people who show up to support Donald. And the security down there, by the way, is like on high alert. So we not only do we have local officials, muni officials, city officials, we have sheriff's department. We've got the FBI down there, federal agents. So I'm pretty sure, like all hands on deck, I'm pretty sure everything's going to be okay. And, again, hats off to the DOJ. I think we got our 630th guilty plea in the January 6th riots cases this week, just today. And the prosecution of the boots on the ground folks on January 6th, I think, is acting as quite a deterrent for these calls that he wanted people to come to New York. He wanted people to come to DC, and they just aren't. So we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be okay. Also, there was a debate last night. I did watch it, and I feel kind of gross. I had to take like a Gattaca shower after. It wasn't great, and a lot of it is just a lot of the debate that they had is just based on pure lies. Vivek was saying that climate change is a hoax. We have to drill, frack, burn coal, and embrace nuclear. Well, I'm cool with the nuclear, to an extent, but it's like he went out and found right-wing MAGA talking points and just highlighted those. Nikki Haley and Pence got a couple of good shots in on him, but nobody really stood out. I think if you ask Republicans, they would say that Vivek stood out, but there's no way he's going to win. I mean, Trump is the clear leader of the GOP, which, according to Judge Littig, is no longer a political party, and I agree with him. We only have one party right now, and that's why our democracy is in peril. I tend to think, and this is just philosophically speaking, that we're going to see the end of the Republican Party. And what's going to happen is the Democratic Party will split into a moderate, more fiscally conservative, but socially liberal party. And then we'll have the Progressive Party. And I think I think most of the old school Republicans will find their home with the new establishment left party. They'll just be fiscally conservative, but socially progressive. There can't be a major party in this country that stands behind fascism. That's not how democracy works, or a republic, a constitutional republic, if you want to split hairs. But anyway, we do have a lot of news to get to. I'll keep an eye on the TV. You keep an eye on social media at Mueller, She Wrote, and we'll let you know how that self-surrender goes for Trump. But let's hit the hot notes.
Hot notes.
First up, the latest filings down in Georgia. Yesterday, I told you Kenneth Chesebro filed a motion for a speedy trial, which is his right, and it allows him to be tried within the current court term or by the end of the next one, about 60, 70 days. Well, Fani Willis today called his bluff and said, sure, pal, you don't want March 4th, 2024? All right, Kenneth, let's do October 23rd of this year. So she filed that to the court, and that's Judge McAfee, brand new baby judge. But she also said, we'll try all 19 defendants on October 23rd. Well, Judge McAfee, again, like I said, very young, brand new trial court judge. I think he's only been on the bench less than a year, maybe 6 months. But he does have years of experience as a trial lawyer. He granted the October 23rd trial date, recommended by Fani Willis. Again, that's October of this year, about 5 months ahead of the original March 4th, 2024 trial date. However, the judge made clear in his ruling that it wouldn't be all 19 defendants, that this schedule only applies to Kenneth Chesebro. And earlier today, when Fani Willis recommended that October date for all 19 defendants, we were all ready. We were girding our loins for the rest of the defendants to file a motion to sever, or at least a lot of them saying, I don't want a speedy trial. I'm not going to be ready by October 23rd. But we got this order from the court. And if it holds, I think those motions, any motions that were filed to sever, including from Donald Trump, would be moot. But Fani Willis can still file a motion opposing the severance. So I think those will hold and stay until that is resolved. We'll see. I have a feeling she might file a motion because she wanted to do all 19, to try all 19 defendants on October 23rd of this year. At least in her filing, she did. So it would stand to reason that if the judge decided to sever Kenneth Chesebro, that she would file a motion to oppose that severance. I'll keep you posted. Additionally, Mark Meadows was booked at the Fulton County Jail today, and his mugshot's been released, along with Harrison Floyd. That's one of the co-conspirators in the Ruby Freeman intimidation plot. He's the one that everyone thought was named Harrison Ford, if you remember. I was like, how many people are named Harrison Ford? But his name is actually Harrison Floyd. And again, we're going to go over all of this on the next Cleanup on Aisle 45 in detail. So and also in chronological order, it's going to make a lot more sense because all these filings and surrenderings and mugshots are coming kind of all at different times, and it can get quite confusing, but we'll straighten it up. We'll clean it up on Cleanup. Next up from Ryan Riley at NBC. And if you're not following Ryan Riley, he's got jokes, right? He was like, finally, we can say the Kraken is released on bond. Release the Kraken on bail. Now, he writes, after having basked in conspiracy theories about the January 6th attack on the Capitol, some supporters of the former president are worried that a rally Trump is promoting outside the Fulton County jail in Georgia ahead of his expected surrender in the state election interference case is an FBI setup. The rally, promoted by the far-right activist Laura Loomer, is expected at 10 a.m. Eastern Thursday. That was earlier today, the day Trump has said he plans to turn himself in. Trump posted a link to a Newsweek article about the rally on his social media platform, Truth Social, as well as a screenshot of Loomer and her post calling on Trump supporters to gather at the jail. On both Truth Social and Twitter, the Elon Musk-owned platform, conservative users worried that undercover law enforcement officials and Antifa activists were behind it, planning to use it as a setup to arrest Trump supporters. Yeah, no, see, this is the funny thing, that it would be an FBI setup, right? Like, if you show up as mob and do violence and get arrested, that it was somehow a setup. No, that's just you committing a crime and being arrested for breaking the law. It's bizarre. Quote, watch out for the FBI and Antifa Black Lives Matter to stir up a riot. That's what a social media user with a display name UltraMaga wrote. Quote, be careful, could be a setup just like January 6th. Just like the supermarket is a shoplifting setup. This is another user. Watch out for FBI plants. They can play havoc with your peaceful plans. The social media posts were highlighted by Advanced Democracy, a nonpartisan research organization. January 6th was not, in fact, an FBI setup. More than 1,000 Trump supporters have been arrested for their actions during the Capitol riot, including some who conspiracy theorists have suggested were undercover agents bent on entrapping conservatives. In late 2021, on Tucker Carlson's former Fox News show, a right-wing attorney for January 6 defendants told viewers that a man dressed in red face paint and wearing a Keep America Great hat was clearly a law enforcement officer, an agent provocateur, provoking the crowd. The FBI arrested the man, rally runner, this month. Runner, a huge Trump supporter and former fan of Carlson, was known to St. Louis Cardinals fans as the man who ran around the stadium. About 1,100 defendants have been charged in connection with the Capitol attack, among them a former FBI supervisory special agent who, federal prosecutors allege, yelled, "Kill him," as other rioters attacked police officers at the Capitol. That former FBI official, Jared Wise, stopped working at the FBI in 2017. Another FBI employee, Brett Gloss, lost his security clearance because he was, in his personal capacity, present on the restricted grounds of the Capitol on January 6th. The FBI, a very conservative law enforcement organization, missed glaring open source intelligence that suggested there would be violence that day. Quote, what was shocking is that the attack was essentially planned in plain sight on social media. That's Senator Gary Peters, a Democrat from Michigan, the chair of the Senate Homeland Security Committee. And that was in an interview this year. And he went on to say, and yet it seemed as if our intelligence agencies completely dropped the ball. Shortly after the attack, the top FBI official was warned that many Bureau employees were, quote, sympathetic to the Capitol mob. Also, a former guy is expected to shake up his legal team today, just hours ahead of him surrendering to authorities. Drew Findling is expected to depart. He has filed his motion to withdraw and be replaced by attorney Stephen Sato, or Sato, according to the sources. Sato, who is a well-known attorney in Georgia, will be the lead in the case for Trump. Findling has served as lead attorney for Trump as it relates to the over 2-year probe by Fani Willis into efforts of Trump and his allies to overturn the election results in 2020 in Georgia. Another attorney, Jennifer Little, is expected to remain and work with Sato. Sources tell ABC News that for now, the rest of Trump's legal teams that are handling cases brought by special counsel Jack Smith and Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg remain intact. Quote, I've been retained to represent President Trump in the Fulton County, Georgia case. The president should never have been indicted. He is innocent of all the charges brought against him. We look forward to the case being dismissed or, if necessary, an unbiased, open-minded jury finding the president not guilty. Prosecutions intended to advance or serve the ambitions and careers of political opponents of the president have no place in our justice system. This is their only defense. Now, Trump, as you know, was charged along with 18 others by Fani Willis. This was just last week. It seems like last year. This is a sweeping racketeering indictment for their alleged efforts to overturn Georgia's 2020 election results. Trump says his actions were not illegal and that the investigation is politically motivated. Trump, whose bail was set by a judge at $200,000 this past Tuesday, like I said, is expected to surrender at the Fulton County Jail for processing tonight. And from Keegan Hamilton at the LA Times, the DEA has allowed dozens of job applicants to become special agents and perform other work despite failing a lie detector test during the hiring process. That's according to a new federal watchdog report, which describes the DEA's polygraph unit as facing pressure to pass legacy candidates related to senior officials. Details of the report issued Wednesday by the DOJ, Office of the Inspector General, were independently verified by the LA Times based on court documents obtained from a whistleblower case filed by a former member of the DEA polygraph unit. Beyond special treatment to friends and family members of DEA agents and officials, the whistleblower said agency bosses ignored admissions of criminal behavior that should have been reported for further investigation, including a case in which a job applicant admitted to pedophiliac tendencies during a polygraph exam. The whistleblower asked not to be identified because of their pending litigation and referred questions to their lawyer. They said they alerted supervisors in 2018 after an applicant discussed pedophilic impulses toward his own daughter and other children, unquote. But they were told there was nothing that could be done and that they would be liable for making an anonymous complaint to local law enforcement or social services. The candidate was not hired, and the matter was eventually reported to the DEA's Office of Professional Responsibility, which is responsible for investigating misconduct by employees. A DEA spokesperson said the agency continues to implement the best practices in hiring to ensure that all DEA employees uphold the values of our organization, exemplify integrity, and above all, protect the safety and health of all Americans. Quote, over the past 2 years, DEA has demonstrated an unwavering commitment to ensuring that all DEA employees are held to the highest standards. DEA has undergone complete leadership changes in the highest positions, updating our hiring policies and heightening our disciplinary standards. This is the new DEA. This stuff was happening back in 2018 under, you guessed it, polygraph exams are typically not admissible in court proceedings, but they're standard hiring practice among a lot of federal law enforcement agencies for national security clearances. The tests rely on background information provided by the applicant and interrogation by the examiner, who monitors the subject's physiological responses and behavior. In another case described in the Office of Inspector General report, a job applicant at the DEA undergoing a lie detector test in 2017, quote, admitted to engaging in inappropriate behavior while a juvenile with a younger juvenile. The examiner stopped the test, the report said, and yet the DEA's hiring panel was told incorrectly that the applicant passed the polygraph test. That person, according to the report, joined the DEA in 2019 and is currently employed as a special agent. In a letter sent to the DEA Administrator Ann Milgram on Tuesday, the Office of the Inspector General said it identified numerous concerns, including the use of loopholes to avoid complying with policy enacted in 2019 that specifically bars the agency from hiring applicants who fail the polygraph or show signs of countermeasures to cheat the test. The OIG said it identified 77 people, nearly all prospective special agents, who were hired after 2019 despite questionable polygraph results. To make the hires, the DEA argued the applications were associated with an older job announcement predating the policy change. They cheated. Those applicants were required to only complete, not necessarily pass the test. An additional 43 people were hired despite showing red flags because the DEA said their exams were conducted before the new rules took effect. A written DEA response included in the federal watchdog report said the DEA no longer hires applicants for certain positions if they have not fully completed a polygraph or received an unfavorable result. The 77 people who were already hired, quote, had no disqualifying admissions during the polygraph exams. Now, Udom Dillon, the former DEA Acting Administrator who ordered the 2019 polygraph reform, told the Times he was disappointed to learn of the Office of the Inspector General's findings. Quote, one of my highest priorities was to increase the number of DEA special agents to combat the drug overdose crisis, while at the same time ensuring that these new agents were of the highest quality, character, and integrity. I am disappointed that the high standards I have set have not been adhered to over the past 2 years. Yes, too. The polygraph report is the latest allegation of questionable conduct by DEA leadership, with Milgram previously facing Office of Inspector General scrutiny for awarding no-bid contracts to hire her past associates, and revelations of agent misconduct. The OIG also noted that the DEA allowed local and state law enforcement agents to join federal task force units despite failing the polygraph exam. The DEA said it identified 9 task force officers who produced unsuccessful results on their polygraph since hiring standards changed in 2021. Now, this is the new administration. And steps are now in progress to return those officers to their parent agencies. The whistleblower complaint says members of the DEA's polygraph unit undergo 14 weeks of training, thought to be the most difficult and challenging school a federal agent can attend. The polygraph training includes methods of deception, ways examiners can monitor for signs that someone is slowing their breathing or, trying to fight the test. Both the whistleblower complaint and the federal watchdog report describe examiners feeling pressure to pass people suspected of cheating. The report says DEA officials were informed in February of 2023 about instances where employees perceived or experienced pressure related to the polygraph exams of legacy candidates. And again, that's this administration. Our job applicants with relatives of the DEA. Later that month, the report said agency officials issued a notice reminding employees to adhere to its guidelines to prevent nepotism. The whistleblower described multiple instances in which they encountered pressure to pass legacy applicants, including the son of a DEA supervisor, the son of a retired DEA agent from the New York Field Division, and a case in which an inspector at the DEA headquarters made continued calls to human resources demanding his son be retested. Kevin Burns, who's an attorney who represents the whistleblower, said the pressure to pass unsuitable candidates was troubling. Quote, when there's pressure from supervisors on behalf of applicants, it threatens the foundation of the entire agency. It goes to the core of how the agency selects agents and processes them. It's critical to gathering information for their suitability for law enforcement positions. I would say so. If that can be influenced or manipulated, he said, you can get people in the agency that lack integrity and the skills necessary to enforce the nation's laws, and that can cascade later on. It's like a butterfly effect. Burns said his client was among those who reported concerns to the Office of Inspector General that some of those who were unable to pass the test were later accused of misconduct. Quote, many agents who employed countermeasures or failed became issues later on. They're all people who could tell a lie. That's what Burns said. So we'll keep an eye on that for you because it's still ongoing from last administration to this. All right, everybody, we're going to take a quick break and then we'll be back with the good news. If you have good news to send us, you can do it at dailybeanspod.com and click on contact. We'll be right back. Stick around.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
The issues of the day are really complicated. Everybody loves a good hot take, but really understanding an issue takes some digging. I'm Asha Rangappa. I teach national security law at Yale University. I'm a former FBI special agent, and I'm a legal and national security analyst.
And I'm Renato Mariotti. I'm a former federal prosecutor, a practicing lawyer, and a legal analyst.
And we're here to help you understand topics that can't be boiled down to a soundbite or a tweet.
Join us each week as we dig deep into pressing legal topics. Listen to It's Complicated anywhere you get your podcasts, and check out our YouTube channel.
Everybody, welcome back. It's time for the good news.
Who likes good news, everyone? Then good news, everyone.
Good news, good news. And if you have any good news, corrections, confessions, you want to play What the Mutt or What the Heck Wine, because I can guess horse breeds a little bit better than I can guess dog breeds. You could send those in. I'll do cat breeds too. What the cat? Send them in to us. And what the frog orgies, baby pictures. Dana loves baby. She'll be back Monday. Send all your baby pictures. And a shout out to loved ones, small businesses in your area. What your business is. I want to know about what you're doing, what you're making, and what you're creating. Anything you want to send to us. You can do it at dailybeanspod.com and click on contact. First up from Thomas L. Correction/clarification. Love all the pods. On this week's cleanup, Pete said there were no federal officers on any of the 9/11 flights. I want to make sure to honor the memory of Rick Guadagno, who was on Flight 93, and the only federal law enforcement officer aboard any of the 4 hijacked flights on 9/11. He was a U.S. Fish and Wildlife Refugee Manager and law enforcement officer. I know you honor the memory of our first responders and meant no disrespect. I just want to make sure Rix is known and remembered. Oh, and Vivek can go suck eggs. Thanks, Thomas. Yeah, I think what Vivek said, it was of the two planes that crashed into the towers. But yes, there was a law enforcement officer on Flight 93, and we do remember him and remember him well. Thank you for that correction and clarification, Thomas. Next up from Jim Calkins, him, Iowa City. Dear Beans, you are my wake-up podcast unless I listen to the patron release before I go to bed. It informs me and amuses me and ends with lovable pet tax submissions. Here's a photo of my parents, Homer and Ruth Calkins. Mom was a real dear, along with a couple other family pics. In 1981, our parents donated their Iowa farm to serve as an environmental resource. That farm was most of us kids' inheritance, and it has been a perfect one, remaining forever as a living embodiment of our parents' dream. The Calkins Nature Center includes a butterfly house, a Native American and natural history museum that tells the story of the county's ecological and cultural history, day camps, and many educational resources. Check out the link in the show notes, or you can Google Calkins, Calkins, Nature Area for more information. And it's hardincountyia.gov/Calkins-nature-area. Again, there'll be a link in the show notes. There's the deer. Oh, look at this. Oh, is that what kind of bird is that? That's a beautiful little bird. Oh, look at these babies. So wonderful. What a great legacy. Jim, how amazing. If I'm in Iowa, I'm going to definitely look this up. Thank you so much for the submission. Next up from Anonymous, pronouns they and them. A bit of good news. My cats, Mary and Pippin, turned 1 year old at the end of July, and their veterinary checkup was perfect. As the vet instructed, I fully transitioned them to adult food. Mary is a svelte 12.5 pounds, while Pippin is a stocky 13.5 pounds. They are as delightful and exasperating as ever, climbing into various appliances and bolting out the door to scope out the hall. Mary has also taken to putting a gentle paw on me to get my attention. I love that. And Pippin has become what a friend calls a nurse cat, napping on my sore right wrist. I can't pronounce what that is. Tenosynovitis, Dequervain's tenosynovitis, with surgery, likely in my future. Their new collective noun is the gents. I call mine the suits, which seemed quite apropos for a couple of tuxie boys. Yeah, Anonymous, I've got a tuxie brother and sister, and I call them the suits. For pet tax, I include solo pictures of each of the gentlemen, as well as a shot of them sharing a chair. In the solo portraits, Mary is about to leap off his favorite tall bookcase, and Pippin looks particularly mischievous. Thanks again for all your hard work. I also listen to Clean Up and Jack, though I can't quite swing patronage for all the shows. Maybe someday. Don't sweat it, Anonymous. Look at the gents. Oh, yeah. Oh, so cute. They remind me of my tuxies, too. Oh, I like the little white mustache. That's so fantastic. What a couple of beautiful babies. Thank you for sharing so much. Love these. Next up from Alan, pronouns he and him. Longtime listener, first-time good newser. I enjoy listening to the many different podcasts you have a hand in, so thanks for all you do. After being unexpectedly let go from my longtime employment about a year ago, my wife and I made the plunge to take our collective hobbies and try to sell the art that we had until then crafted for the joy of it. We were both deeply geeky and decided to name our fledgling company Geek Forged Crafts. That's fantastic. We've made many baby steps since then, with our handmade wood and resin art to local farmers markets and annual events, as well as hosting a modest online presence. Specifically, I wanted to shout out my wife, Erica, and just say how thankful I am for how hard she works and for all the things she does to make our lives and the lives of those around her better and brighter. For Pod Pet Tax, I've included a photo of Harley Quinn and Ellie, short for Elephant, our Great Dane sisters, 1 year apart. 1 year apart? Oh my goodness. Well, looks like the little one's going to get a lot bigger. Look at these beautiful babies. Thank you for sharing. And that's awesome. If you want to send in, the information about this business and where you sell the crafts, please do, Alan. And thanks for the shout out to your loved one. Next up, Evan, pronouns he and him. Hello, Laguma ladies. I wanted to help fill up the good news meter with a shout out to my wonderful partner of 10 years, Annie. They're an out trans educator teaching freshman high school English. They're also a teacher union rep, GSA advisor, and grad student 3 semesters into their master's degree in education. Holy smokes. During the first week of school, 3 separate students felt safe enough to make Annie the first person those students came out to. For all the struggles of life, I'm so proud for all they do to make the world a more accepting place. Oh, wonderful. Pushing through hell to be our authentic selves has always been worth it, especially when creating a safe space for students who more than likely don't have that safety at home. Attached are the pet tax pictures of our 2 void kitties, Chala, the round boy, and Matza, the flat boy. They regularly provide all the joy, snuggles, and chaos we can handle. Thanks for bringing the indictments and other good news into my ears in Music Shitty, Tennessee. And P.S., the Nashville mayoral election is going to a runoff with early voting starting Friday, August 25th. That's today, everybody. And Election Day on September 14th. So take everybody with you. Look at these void babies. There is a svelte one, there's a long boy, and there's a potot. That's amazing. Oh, this art's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you for the shout out. Everybody, thank you for your good news and your pod pet tax. I really, really appreciate it. We're going to have a great weekend. It's going to be interesting. Follow me at Mueller She Wrote on Threads and over on Twitter. Yes, I still call it Twitter. We'll get that mugshot out to you as soon as it happens. Actually, you're not going to hear this until after I've already done that. But if you want to see it and you haven't seen it yet, that's where you can see it. Time travel is so weird these days, you know? Just can't get it straight in my head. But I'll be back Monday with Dana in your ears. Of course, we'll have Jack on Sunday, and we'll have the cleanup and beans bonus for patrons this weekend. Thank you all so much for everything. I'm so excited to be part of this community. I cannot wait to continue to bring you the accountability and justice news after having to bring the horrible shit show lullaby that has been going on for the past 5 years. So here we go. Buckle up. It's only going to get better from here. Until Monday, please take care of yourselves, take care of each other, take care of the planet, take care of your mental health. Vote blue over Q and bring someone with you, Nashville. Bring someone with you. Early voting starts today. I've been AG, and them's the beans.
The Daily Beans is written and executive produced by Allison Gill with additional research and reporting by Dana Goldberg. Sound design and editing is by Desiree McFarlane, with art and web design by Joelle Reeder with Moxie Design Studios. Music for The Daily Beans is written and performed by They Might Be Giants, and the show is a proud member of the MSW Media Network, a collection of creator-owned podcasts dedicated to news, politics, and justice. For more information, please visit mswmedia.com.
MSW Media.
Hi, I'm Frances Callier.
And I'm Angela V. Shelton.
And we're Frangela.
You know what you need in your life? The Final Word podcast.
Yes, you do.
That's right. It is the final word on all things political and pop cultural.
Where we make real news real funny.
Where we inspire you so you can #resist.
Subscribe and get a new episode of the Final Word podcast each week. It's the news we think you need to hear.
That's right. We think you need to hear it. Okay?
Yeah, it's what we say so.
That's right. And because all we do is give, every Thursday you can listen to our hysterical podcast, Idiot of the Week.
We round up the stupid because you know what? Somebody has to.
Okay. All we do is give.
Hi, I'm Harry Littman, host of Talking Feds, a roundtable that brings together prominent figures from government law and journalism for a dynamic discussion of the most important topics of the day. Each Monday, I'm joined by a slate of Feds favorites and new voices to break down the headlines and give the insider's view of what's going on in Washington and beyond. Plus sidebars explaining important legal concepts read by your favorite celebrities. Find Talking Feds wherever you get your podcasts.